All right, we back at it, starting off on page 18. We stopped at page 17. This is Personal Finance for Dummies, second edition, a reference for the rest of us by Eric Tyson. Warning signs of pandering to advertisers. Newspapers, magazines, online services, radio, television, you name it. Thousands of publications and media outlets today are doling out personal finance advice and perspectives, although many of these service providers collect revenue from you, the subscriber. Virtually all are independent, in some cases, fully dependent on advertising dollars. Money, they want your money. Although advertising is a necessary part of capitalism, unfortunately and sadly, advertisers can taint and in some cases dictate the content of what you read and listen to and view. Consider this case from a non-fictional publication, Modern Bride magazine. Harper's Magazine got a hold of an apologetic letter which it humorously entitled To Love, Honor, and Obey Our Advertisers. The bride's fashion advertising director sent to its advertisers. Here's an excerpt. Brides recommends that its readers, your customers, negotiate price, borrow a slip or petticoat, and compare catalog shoe prices and tell its readers that the groom's tuxedo may be free. It is difficult to understand why Brides was compelled to publish this information with 57 years of publishing experience and support to the bridal industry. Brides could and should have been more sensitive to the retailers that it purports to serve. All of us in the bridal business must concentrate on projecting full service bridal retailing in a positive light. I don't find it difficult to understand why the writer of the criticized Brides article revealed cost-saving strategy to its readers. She was trying to give them useful information and advice. Now, revealing letters like this one are hard to come by, so how can you, a consumer of financial information, separate the good from the advertiser-biased publications? I've developed some ideas on the subject from having written and worked for a number of publications and from observing the workings of even more. First, consider how dependent a publication or media outlet is on advertising. I see the most conflicts of interest that involve pandering to advertisers done by free publications and radio and television, which derive all of their revenue from advertising. Much of what is on the internet is advertiser driven as well. Next, as you read various publications, watch TV, or listen to radio, note how consumer-oriented they are. Do you get the feeling that they're looking out for your interest, or are they primarily creating an advertiser-friendly broadcast or publication? For example, if lots of auto manufacturers advertise, does the media outlet ever tell you how to save money when shopping for a car and the importance of buying a car within your means? Even more troubling, in the many advice guides on the market, few publishers require that the books be technically reviewed for accuracy by an expert in the field other than the author, who sometimes may not be an expert. You, the reader, are expected to be your own technical reviewer, but do you have the expertise to do that? No. Don't worry, this book has been checked for accuracy. Praise the Lord. As an author and a financial counselor, I know that financial ideas and strategies can differ considerably. Different is not necessarily wrong, but when a reviewer looks at my text and tells me another better way is out there, I take a second look. Maybe I even see things a new way. That's not possible if I'm the only expert who sees my book before publication. How do you know if a book's been technically reviewed? Check the credits page or the author's acknowledgments. Authors write books for many reasons other than to teach and educate. The most common reason financial book authors write books is to further their own business interests. This may not always be a bad thing, but it's not the best thing for you when trying to educate yourself and better manage your own finances. For example, some investment books are written by investment newsletter sellers. Rather than teaching you how to make good investments, authors the author makes the investment world sound complicated so that you'll feel the need to subscribe to his ongoing newsletter. You can and you must just do it. Once you learn the basic concept and where to buy the best financial products, when you need to buy them, you'll soon see that managing your personal finances well is not much harder than other things you do regularly, like tying your shoelaces and getting to and from work each day. Regardless of your income, you can make your dollars stretch farther if you learn good financial habits and avoid mistakes. In fact, the lower your income, the more important it is that you make the most of your income and savings, because you don't have the luxury of falling back on your next fat paycheck or dividends check to bail you out. More and more industries are subject to global competition, and you need to be on financial toes now more than ever. Job security is on the wane. Layoffs and retraining for new jobs are on the increase. Putting in 20 or 30 years for one company and retiring with a gold watch and lifetime pension are becoming as rare as never having computer problems. Speaking of company pensions, odds are increasing that you work for an employer that has you save towards your own retirement. Not only do you need to save money, but you must also decide how to invest it. Managing your personal finances involves much more than just managing and investing money. It also includes making all the pieces of your financial life fit together. It means lifting yourself out of financial illiteracy, like planning a vacation. Managing your personal finances means formulating a plan to make the best use of your limited time and dollars. We are only human. Perhaps you know Perhaps you know that you should be living within your means, buying and holding sound investments for the long term, and securing proper insurance coverage. However, you can't bring yourself to do these things. Everywhere you turn lurks temptation to spend money. Ads show attractive and popular people enjoying the fruits of their labors, a new car, exotic vacation, and a lavish home. Maybe you felt deprived as a youngster by your tightwad parents, or you're bored with life and like the adventure of buying new things. If only you can hit it big one or two investments on one or two investments, you think you could get rich quick and do what you really want with life. As for disasters and catastrophes, well, those things happen to other people, don't they? Not to you. Besides, you'll probably have advance warning of pending problems and can prepare accordingly. Your emotions and temptations can get the better of you. Certainly, part of successfully managing your finances involves coming to terms with your shortcomings and the consequences of your behaviors. If you don't, you may end up enslaved to a dead end job to keep feeding your spending addiction. Or you can spend more time with your investments than you do with your family, risking divorce. And catastrophes can happen to anyone, and even you, without warning or time to prepare. Knowing the right answers isn't enough. You've got to practice good financial habits just as you practice other habits, such as brushing your teeth. Don't be overwhelmed. As you read this book, make a short list of your financial marching orders and then start chipping away. I also highlight ways to overcome temptations and keep control of your money rather than letting your emotions and money rule you. Here are a few areas you likely need to tackle. Tracking and reducing spending. If, like most people, you're not saving sufficiently to meet your financial goals, then sound financial management also involves tracking and reducing your spending. Investing what you save. Investing your savings is, of course, an important part of your financial puzzle. So, too, are understanding and making the best of tax incentives, tax breaks, and your employer's benefits. Making informed real estate and insurance purchases. You need to ensure that you invest in real estate intelligently, that you have the right types of insurance coverage, and that you're not paying more than necessary. Intelligent personal financial strategies have little to do with your gender, ethnicity, or marital status. We all need to do it. Some aspects of financial management become more or less important at different points in your life, but for the most part, the principles remain the same for all of us. Before you can take control, though, you first have to take stock. To turn to the next chapter to begin your financial physical exam. Don't worry, I don't use rubber gloves or needles. Mm. Ooh, we start in chapter 2. Oh, okay. In this chapter, ooh, in this chapter, the difference between bad debt and good debt, figuring whether you have too much debt, asset liabilities, and your financial net worth, how much you really saved last year, investment and insurance checkups, measuring your financial health. How financially healthy are you? You may already know the bad news, or perhaps things aren't quite as bad as they seem. Like many medical problems, financial problems are best dedicated early. Clean living doesn't hurt either. Most problems can be fixed over time with changes in your behavior. That's what the rest of this book is all about. This chapter puts you through a financial physical to help you detect problems with your current financial health. But don't get depressed and dwell on your problems. View them for what they are, opportunities to improve your financial situation. In fact, the more areas for improvement that you can identify, the greater potential you have to build real wealth and accomplish your financial and personal goals. Bad debt versus good debt. Why do you borrow money? Usually it's because you don't have enough money to buy something you want or need. It's like a college education. If you want to buy a 4-year college education, you could easily spend $50,000 to $100,000, perhaps even more. Not too many people have that kind of spare cash lying around. So, borrowing money to finance part of that cost enables you to buy the education. How about a new car? A trip to your friendly local car dealer shows you that a new set of wheels will set you back around 15,000 or more. Although more people have the money to pay for that than, say, college education, what if you don't? You should finance the car the way you finance the education. The auto dealers and bankers eager to make you an auto loan say you deserve to and can afford to drive a nice new car, so borrow away. I say, no, no, no. Why do I disagree with the auto dealers and lenders? For starters, I'm not trying to sell you a car or loan from which I derive a profit. More importantly, there's a big difference between borrowing for something that represents a long term investment and borrowing for consumption. Take a vacation. No, I don't mean right now. If you spend, say, $15,000 on a vacation, the money is gone. Poof. You may have fond memories and even some Kodak moments, but you'll have no financial value to show for it. But you say vacations replenish my soul and make me more productive when I return. In fact, the vacation more than pays for itself. Great. I'm not saying don't take a vacation. By all means, take one, two, three, or as many as you can afford yearly. But that's the point. What can you afford? If you had to borrow money to take the vacation in the form of an outstanding balance on your credit card for many months, then you could not afford the vacation you took. I refer to debt incurred for consumption as bad debt. Don't get me wrong. You're not a bad person for having the debt, but the debt is bad for your long term financial health. Borrowing to purchase a car or clothing also impairs your long term financial health. This is bad debt too. You'll be able to make many more vacations during your lifetime if you save the cash in advance to afford them. If you get into the habit of borrowing and paying all that interest for vacation, cars, clothing, and other consumer items, you'll spend more of your future income paying back the debt and interest. So you'll have less money available for your vacations and all your other goals. Mm. One of the reasons that you have less money using bad debt is because of the relatively high interest rates banks and other lenders charge for such debt. Money borrowing on credit cards, auto loans, and through other types of consumer loans not only collects a relatively high interest rate but is also not tax deductible. Good debt, such as for real estate and business, is available at lower interest rates and is generally tax deductible. Thus, bad debt not only is bad for your long term financial health, but is also much more expensive than good debt. I'm not saying never borrow money and that all debt is bad. To the contrary, borrowing to pay for educational expenses can make sense. Education is generally a good long term investment. It should increase your earning potential. This is good debt. Likewise, taking on a reasonable amount of debt to buy or start a business or to purchase real estate can be good debt. If properly and smartly managed, these investments should also increase in value. How much bad debt is too much? A useful but perhaps painful way to size up your debt load is to calculate how much debt you have relative to your annual income. Ignore for now good debt, the loans you may owe on real estate, a business, education, and so on. I'm focusing on bad debt, the higher interest stuff used to buy items that depreciate in value. For example, suppose that you earn $30,000 per year. Between your credit cards and auto loan, you'll have $15,000 of debt. In this case, your bad debt represents 50% of your annual income. Ooh. The financially healthy amount of bad debt is zero. When your debt danger ratio starts to push beyond 25% of your income, that can spell real trouble. High interest debt on credit cards and auto loans is like cancer when it gets to those levels. As with cancer, the growth of the debt can snowball and get out of control unless something significant intervenes. If you have this much debt, turn to chapter 5 and find out how to get out of debt. Plain the float. I have credit cards and I use them, but I pay my balance in full each month by the due date. Besides, the convenience credit cards offer me is not having to carry around extra cash and checks. I get another benefit. I have free use of the bank's money extended to me through my credit card charges. When you charge on a credit card that does not have an outstanding balance carried over from the month prior, you typically have several weeks, known as a grace period, from the date of the charge to when you must pay your bill. Financial types call this playing the float. Had you paid for this purchase by cash or check, you would have had to shell out all that money. If you have difficulty saving money and plastic tends to burn holes in your budget, forget the float game. You'd be better off not using your credit cards. The same applies for those who pay their bills in full, but who spend more because it's easy to do so with a piece of plastic. All right, and we will start off on page 24 next time, because that's all for tonight, folks. Try not to go past 20 minutes worth of reading.